Arizona. It's a little bit different. We say things different over here than anywhere else in the world.
Oh, welcome back, everyone. We are live with, now I'm going to say it, Angelia Malbrew. There it
Yes.
is. I said it right. Anyway, she is amazing. Look at that beautiful dress. Lead like a brand. Angelia, take the floor, please.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me, Lisa. So today I am so honored to be before you guys. I hope you're having an amazing Friday. And so, little fun fact about that dress. Lisa and I were just laughing about it, talking about how beautiful it was. And I told her, I said, you wouldn't even believe that this dress was actually a piece, well, two pieces of fabric. Because if you see here around my waist, that's one part that I actually tied and made a bow, and then the other part is just a long piece of fabric. You would even believe some of the stuff we go through as photographers. So again, welcome to the Lead Like a Brand presentation. So I'll go ahead and keep it moving. If anybody has any questions, make sure you put those in the chat. I would love to hear from you guys as we go through. All right, so let me hop back over here. Okay, so leadership is not a title. You earn its presence as you embody it. So, when you think about leadership and you think about what that means to lead like a brand, today I'm going to tell you and show you how I was able to navigate um, going through leadership, going through hard times, learning what leadership really meant, and also finding my way through this crazy, crazy time. All right, so what happened to me? And for the sake of time today, I will be brief. But before we get into all of that, you need to know who I am. So, who am I now? So, right now, I am a portrait photographer, luxury branding portrait photographer, platinum award winning speaker, fractional branding officer. I also train corporate executives to also lead like a brand. And I am the creator of the Lead Like a Brand framework. So, I have been working in corporate America, I would say, for the last 12 plus years. Before that, I worked in hospitality at a four-star resort for 10 years. So, luxury, leadership, all of those things kind of coincide and met in the middle for me. And this is what made me come up with the Lead Like a Brand framework. This is what made me feel that, you know what, while I was working in corporate, there were so many things that I saw as not only challenges, but opportunities. And so that made me take a step back and say, I can do something to make a change here because I see what's going on. And me being a process improvement girly, I've always looked for ways to make things better. How can I make things not just pretty, but more efficient? And so through that, it helped me to develop my consulting firm. I also have a luxury photography business. So, for those of you that are not familiar with me, I have Angelia Malbrew Photography and Angelia Malbrew Consulting. So, I help people on both sides to lead like a brand, to show up and say, you know what, it's more than just showing up with the title. It's more than just showing up with the badge because we all know people that have titles that they really don't have that leadership to match. So, I help people to show up visually, verbally, and strategically. And that's a little bit about my framework, and I'm going to share that with you guys today. So let's go back about 20 plus years. So the day of my prom, trigger warning for anybody that has any type of feelings that are strong like me that cry at the drop of a hat. I am a crybaby, but you know what? It's so much passion. In 2000, May of 2000, the day of my morning of my prom, my father was gunned down at his home due to gun violence. He was robbed, and I'll tell you more about that story later. But this is a little bit of a timeline that got me to where I am now. This is me as a senior in high school. I thought I was so grown with that grown up hairstyle, but whatever. And so going through that really made me grow up. It made me get into the mind frame immediately at my father's funeral. I will never forget one of the ladies from our church. She told me, "You're going to have to be what your dad trained you, prepared you to be, because I had always seen entrepreneurship in my life. A lot of people didn't grow up with that, but me, I grew up watching my dad be an entrepreneur my entire life. So to lose him at such an early age, I felt like he was way ahead of his time. And I feel like my dad, he did things that people today don't have the heart to do. Because I know a lot of people now, like they would say, oh, I don't want to market, or I don't want to go out and meet people. This is something that I grew up seeing. I grew up, seeing my dad go door to door to do sales with his business. And so for me, networking, that's not something that comes as a problem for me. I see that as an opportunity. I love networking. I love meeting people. And so learning so much from my dad, in the 18 years of my life, and seeing him only get to the age of 39 by no fault of his own, was hard. But it was a necessary step in my journey, because had I not gone through for 2014, I was working in corporate America doing great things, so I thought, and then I just noticed. And I'm going to share a little bit about that as well, because I want to share this for someone that may be putting off going to the doctor, maybe ignoring, something that's going on in their body that just doesn't quite feel right. For me, my story with being diagnosed with an aggressive form of cancer and losing my ability to have children — I've always wanted to have kids. I knew something was wrong with me, but I just couldn't figure out exactly what it was. So for me, it was a series of things. First, I noticed I started to lose my hair. Then I noticed my skin had gotten extremely dry. And then I noticed there was a bulge in my neck. I literally went to 7 doctors. Hear me when I say seven. 7 doctors before I was diagnosed. I had so many doctors to write me off and say, oh, maybe you just should take — I was so tired, exhausted. I would literally go to work in the morning time at about 7 a.m., take a break at 10. I would have to go to sleep on that 15-minute break. I would come back on my lunch, go to sleep again. And then eat for 30 minutes, go to sleep for the other 30 minutes, and then get off of work, go to sleep for another hour just to be able to function. So my body was screaming at me and telling me something is wrong here and we need to fix it fast. So going to doctor after doctor, it was telling me, oh, you're just burnt out, you're stressed out at work, you need to take some time off. And I'm like, I love my job. I'm not stressed out at my job. And one doctor told me, oh, you just need better lotion. You live in Arizona now, because I had moved from Mississippi to Arizona. And the doctor told me, oh, you just need better. You need to use Cetaphil lotion. I said, I don't think lotion is going to be the problem. Lotion is not making me tired. And so just feeling something was wrong, I kept going to doctor after doctor after doctor. And it got to the point where I'm like, I don't want to be dismissed by another doctor. So what I'm going to do is go find a surgeon. And that's what I did. And I found it amazing. When I tell you, this guy was like a big brother to me versus a doctor. When I went to his office, I sat down and I was telling him, my symptoms and everything, and without any blood work, because I had gone and done the biopsy and it came back inconclusive. So my next step was to go to that surgeon. And so without blood work, without him reading any of my notes, he literally stood behind me and checked my neck and said, you know what, something is wrong. And he said, we're going to get through this together. He said, and I'm going to not waste another day of your life. He literally took me by the hand, walked me to the front to his office manager. And he was like, we need to get her on the schedule immediately. She needs to have surgery. So fast forward, went through the surgery. The next morning, he comes back and he sits on the side of my bed and he says, I'm so sorry, but we found cancer. I'm like, how did I go from thriving in my career, climbing the corporate ladder, being promoted year after year after year, so now I'm sitting here and my whole world just stopped? And he said, I did the best that I could do and I got out as much as I could get out, but we're going to have to send you to a specialist. And at that moment, I felt like the world stopped. The silence was so loud. And I had to decide right then where I was going for treatment. I ended up choosing Cancer Treatment Center, which is now City of Hope because they changed their name. But I think that was the best thing that I could have done. They really, really, really cared about me as a person. They cared about getting me healed as quickly as possible. And I had one of the best doctors for treating aggressive cancer at that time. Now, did he have the best bedside manner? Absolutely not. He was probably one of the worst doctors I ever seen in my life. However, I am so grateful for his knowledge and expertise. But outside of him, everybody else was super excited to help me. They were always going above and beyond to help me because they knew my story. They knew I had been, dismissed by so many doctors before that, before I got to them. And they wanted to make a change in my life, and they really, really did. To this day, I love them so much. And I just honestly, I miss going to the cancer treatment center because, first of all, they had the best food. If you've ever been to the cancer treatment center, they grow all of their food. Everything is organic, and they really make you feel like you matter. And so that's something that I have always done in my business, is treat people like they matter, because they do. Um, Fast forward, beat cancer. Actually, my husband, we met right before I was diagnosed with cancer. So he took me to the hospital. That's when I knew that was going to be my husband. Okay. Because most guys, if they know you're going through something that could be possibly life, terminal, um, they're out of there. And so finding out that my cancer had immediately spread to 3 spots in my chest and he still stayed, that's a good dude. That's a good dude. But anyway, we went through the whole cancer thing and we got married in 2017. 3 months after I got married, here comes life again with another gut punch. I ended up in a horrible accident. I got sandwiched between two Dodge Ram trucks. And had I taken the other car that I had that day, I probably wouldn't be here with you. My car was totaled immediately, and we were on Interstate 10. This guy was on his phone texting, and he just stopped in the middle of the freeway, rush hour traffic. I get my car stopped, and in comes this guy behind me carrying 20,000 pounds of chemicals, liquid chemicals. So you know what happened when he slammed on brakes. All the weight shifted. He jammed behind me. I jammed behind the guy that stopped in the middle trying to read a text message, and I literally could have lost my life that day. And so October is a very, very, very personal month for me. That is actually the month that I had this car accident. And this is also around the time that I got my first treatment for cancer. So I am now 10 years cancer free. If you have not saw my little follow-up video behind that, make sure you go and check out my TikTok where I talk more about me seeing my doctor again after 10 years being cancer free. But anyway, and fast forward after that, 2022, I lost my grandma, the woman who raised me to be who I am today. And I feel like sometimes as women, we continue to go and push and thrive because we want to take on things that other people have put on us. We want to be the strong person in the room, and we don't always take time for ourselves. And I can be honest with you, it literally took me 3 years to really accept the fact that she was gone, one, and two, to grieve. So if you are dealing with anything, whether that's sickness, loss of job, because we have seen how the industry have shifted. So many people have lost their jobs. I was on LinkedIn last night and seeing this young lady, and she was saying, I am no longer embarrassed. I'm just going to put this out here. I have worked at this company for X amount of years. I lost my job and now I'm homeless. And so we are living in a society where you can have everything going for yourself today, and tomorrow everything could shift with the drop of a hat. So fast forward from 2014 to 2024, I worked in the corporate space. And when I tell you the barriers I had to fight and overcome were not easy. A lot of times I was the only person in the room that looked like me. A lot of times I was the only woman in the group. And so those were not always easy rooms to navigate, but I was able to get through it. But anyway, going through all of that, anybody else that would have gone through the trauma and all the things that would have gone through, they would have allowed that to become their setback. But I didn't. I decided to turn my pain into my purpose. And so I remember sitting at the cancer treatment center and I was just thinking, is this pain going to define me or refine me? That was the question I asked myself. And this is another picture of me in Ireland. Ireland is a beautiful place. If you've never been, please go. But that was the question for me that changed everything. Now, I want to get to my aha moment. My story was not a setback, and it took me years to realize that, because I could have been, woe is me. Everything happened to me. But I thought about, how can I, with my process improvement brain, how can I make my story an example for other people? How can I make this something that will help other people to thrive and shine and to get through hurdles in life? That's when my aha moment came. I thought about how my voice could be permission for someone else to rise, because sometimes you just need a little nudge. Sometimes you need to hear somebody, whether it's man, woman, boy, or girl, say, you got this and you can do this. So I had a choice: stay silent or speak my truth. Here I am. So I built what couldn't break me, because I felt like I had been broken. I felt like I had, paid the cost to go through certain things that I felt like I shouldn't have had to go through. But I wanted to do something bigger. I wanted to do something better. So I decided to pour myself into work. That's something I had always seen my dad do. I had always seen my grandmother do it, and my mom as well. And so I come from a long line of educators. I come from a long line of military personnel. And so I wanted to figure out how I can lead in my own way. I built multiple businesses. I've helped several entrepreneurs to start and scale their businesses. I'm multi award winning, published with photography, as well, and award winning with photography, as well as speaking. So if you didn't know, I just got my platinum award for speaking this year. Get a good little look at that. And I am so excited about that. Out of all the awards that I've won, I think this one is the most impactful for me, because this one came through pain. Um, the photography, yeah, that came from me doing beautiful work, helping women to feel beautiful about themselves. But this one, this one came because I spoke my truth. This one came because I helped to free someone that felt bound, and they didn't feel comfortable moving on with their story or sharing their story with other people. This one is very sentimental to me. So I decided to build the Elevated Brand Enterprise, and that is through photography, that is through speaking, my consulting, and helping other people to grow and to scale their businesses as well. I also have a coaching program. And so I refined my identity as a leader. And today I'm going to give you my framework to do the same. And also became internationally recognized. Just a little note to add there. All right. So now, today, I want to introduce to you the Lead Like a Brand framework. So, today we're going to talk about the three pillars of authority, presence, and influence. And this is a framework that I use for leaders in corporate, that I use for women empowerment when I'm speaking at conferences like this. And also, when I'm teaching my mentees how to get out of that stuck mentality and build something meaningful, something that's impactful. And I always tell my mentees and my students this: if you build something that you love, you will never get tired of seeing it. I don't care what AI does in the photography industry. I will never get tired of picking up my camera, making a woman feel beautiful about who she is, what she brings to the table, and how she makes her family feel, how she makes her clients feel, how she makes her children feel. So, no matter what you do, build something that you absolutely love. All right, let's get into it. So, pillar one is authority. Do you know who you are? That's the question that I want to ask you today. Not what your title is, not what someone said about you on the internet, but do you know who you are? Because when you think about authority, authority begins with story ownership. What is your story? If someone was to interview you, and I have been interviewed several times, and every time I'm interviewed, depending on what stage I am in my life, I feel like they get more and more and more of me. And so as you go through life, you will realize that you have the opportunity to help other people. You have the opportunity to help them to say, you know what? Maybe you need a hand up. This is how I can help. This is what I went through, and this is how you can get through it too. Your past is not a liability, it's your proof. So when you think about, for instance, take for instance a job interview. When you're going on a job interview, people are always asking you, so what's your story, or what have you done, tell me about yourself. And when you think about the tell me about yourself story, where do you start? Do you go all the way back as far as you can remember as being a child with your parents, taking a drive for vacation? Or do you talk about what you've done in your career space? Do you talk about, what makes people love you? Don't think about the rough part and phase that into a space where it makes you hate what you've gone through, because what you've gone through is helping to build you, build character, build resistance and resilience in you. And I also feel that leaders who hide their humanity lose their influence. So you see all the time with the rise of AI, how everybody is in a place where they're creating AI twins or they're using AI. This is even an AI image. I liked it because I created it and I wanted to do something with my Mac desktop. But knowing who you are and hiding your humanity are on almost a different playing fields, but they're the same, because you can be so lost in yourself that you lose who you are. And you can also be in a point where, you know what, I know who I am, I know what I bring to the table, and I know why I was created, why I'm on this earth at this time. Because some people are living life and they're lost. And a lot of leaders get lost in titles. They get lost in being in companies that don't value them for who they are, but for what they bring to the table. So I just want to urge and encourage you. So don't get lost in what people are saying about you, but what are you saying about you? How do you feel about you? Because we all know that being on the internet can always, it's a double sided coin. It can build you up today and tear you down tomorrow. So just be mindful of that, whether you are an online leader coaching a community or you are in a classroom teaching 12-year-olds. Don't get lost in who you are. All right. Now, this is something I want you guys to do right now. Stop apologizing for your journey. A lot of times people say, oh, I did this, oh, and I hate that I did that, or I feel bad that I did that, and maybe I shouldn't have did that. No, because had you not gone through that, you wouldn't be able to tell the next person how to get through it. And so that's something that's one of the principles that I live by, is that everything I go through is for a reason. And it didn't happen to me, it happened for me. So start learning to leverage your story and leverage who you are so that you can help someone else. Because honestly, with me going through cancer and having such a bad experience with cancer, do you know who called me when they were nervous that they were going to get a cancer diagnosis? One of my best friends. She's a photographer also. And had I not gone through what I went through, I wouldn't have been able to tell her, hey, you're going to need, tea for your stomach because you're going to be upset, or make sure you take blankets and, socks to the hospital when you go to get your chemo. I didn't do chemo. I did radiation, which is another thing that almost took my life that I didn't put in the slide. I didn't want to make it too sad. I'm sure it was sad enough, but had I not gone through my experience, I wouldn't have been able to tell her how to get through hers. So start learning to leverage your story. All right. I have a little exercise for you. What part of your story are you still hiding? Because you know that could totally free someone else. Because someone and they may not have verbalized it to you, they may have shown it to you. For instance, I have a friend that was dealing with some things with one of her employees. And she didn't come right out and say that this employee was giving her a hard time, but she did like hint around at it because she didn't want to seem ungrateful for this employee. So what I was able to do is tell her how I handle situations, because I have had several employees. Every business that I have a assistant for it, because I don't want to put too much on one person, because at the end of the day, even though they are an assistant to me, I don't want to make them feel like I am giving them too much, where they feel bogged down, where they feel overworked, where they feel unappreciated while working for me. And I know how that feels to have so much put on you. Because I'm a person that if you say, "Oh, Angelia, can you do this?" Yeah, I can do it. I'm a taker. I love to give, and I also love to take on tasks and help other people to get through things and help them to get their life to be better. I'm always trying to find a way to make something better for someone else. And so being able to share that part of my story with her and say, "Hey, you know what? Maybe this employee is not explaining to you that you're giving her too much. Maybe she's not letting you know that you have, burdened her with so much at one time because she hasn't had a chance to get her footing in. So maybe she's not telling you or missing deadlines because she's overwhelmed." And overwhelm is something that a lot of women I know go through. So use your story as your strength. All right. If your image doesn't match your influence, you're losing trust before you even open your mouth. And again, I'm going to touch back on this AI image thing. You can use all the AI images you want. But when you show up to those networking events, when you pull up to the job interview, are people going to recognize you from the AI image? And AI is getting better. Let me tell you, I worked in AI for many years. I saw this change before it actually came out. But when you think about providing your identity over to artificial intelligence, granted, we have all done it. Your DNA is out there. If you have any test done, if you have went, because I know they have this new thing now where it actually checks your whole body to see what type of illnesses or something that you have. Not a full body scan, but it's another thing, and I think it's called the body scan or something. But everything about you is already out there. What part of you are you going to hold on to? What part of your influence are you willing to give up for a quick image or for something that is short lived? Because you're going to have to keep reproducing. And 99% of the time, it may physically look like you a little bit, but it could never take you. So never allow AI to steal your identity. All right. Pillar number 2 is presence. Show up before you speak. Your visual identity is your first impression. It's your digital calling card. So whatever you're putting out there on social media, a lot of times it will help people to decide whether they want to do business with you or not. So your presence equals alignment between who you are and how you show up. Because people feel your energy before they even feel or hear your words. And sometimes, depending on what situation you're in, it could make or break you. It could make or break a decision maker's decision on whether they're going to do business with you or whether they're going to keep looking and find someone else. All right. Your image is your digital calling card. And again, all of the images you see here were created by me. All right, now let's move into pillar number 2. This is the presence check. All right, does your current image reflect your expertise? Do you feel like someone would hire you based on your visual brand alone? Do you show up in every room, or do you shift based on who's watching? So this is something that I saw a lot in corporate. I noticed when I worked in one of the companies that I worked in the longest, almost a decade in this one company, I noticed that when the executive leadership team will come in, oh my gosh, everybody is so buttoned up and they're polished and nobody is, mispronouncing words and everybody's on time. Nobody's taking an extra long break. And everybody has all of their details and all of their projects. They're ready to go. But as soon as those people leave, the gloves are flying off. Nobody's coming back to work on time and nobody's being professional. So it goes back to, are you leading with integrity? And if you can lead with integrity in front of someone, you can definitely lead with it behind their back. And a lot of people in corporate, they just don't do that. And it's a lot of code switching. If you heard the term code switching, it's a lot of code switching going on. So I would like to tell those of you that are listening that feel like you always have to, switch up. Consistency is currency. Be consistent all the time so you don't have to put on when certain people are looking. All right, now we're going to talk about pillar 3, influence. Now we hear this word a lot, especially if you have been on social media at any amount of time. Lead movements, not just meetings. So I have led many, many, many meetings, but what I realized when I stepped away and got into the zone of trying to help someone else, it's more than just meeting with people. It's more than just having a webinar online. What type of movement are you making? Are you making enough noise, and I'm talking about good noise, out in the environment where people will know, like, and trust you, because that's going to help them to decide if they want to be affiliated with you and or your brand. Influence is not built on trust. Influence is built on trust, not titles. So it does not matter. You can make up any title you want. I've seen some of the most absurd titles since ChatGPT came out, and I know you guys have seen it too. But do people trust you? Do they know you? Do they like you? True leaders create leaders. And I have always been in a point where I always wanted a coach. Not that because I need somebody breathing down my neck, but you need a coach in every single area of your life, because you think about life coaches, you think about even when you're going for swimming, like my goddaughter, she's getting ready to start taking some new classes. She needs a coach for that. Yeah, you can have somebody, that a cousin or something, teach you, but you need the information that's going to help you to make the biggest impact. Your legacy is what people do when you're not in the room. So what will people say about you? If you were to poll on social media, or even have someone to send you random surveys on who you are and what your legacy means to them, I'm pretty sure you will be surprised based on what they will say about you. So here's what I will tell you. Stop managing tasks and start inspiring transformation. Authority plus presence plus influence equals unstoppable leadership. Here's your API pillar review. Own your story, align your image with presence, and amplify your impact with influence. How can you make the biggest influence? How can you align who you are with the image that you're putting out in the internet streets, or in the world even? Because when you go to networking events, people are going to Google you. They're going to see what they can find about you. What is going to be different from you than everybody else? And how are you going to own your story? I'm going to try to leave a little bit of time for Q&A, just in case anyone has any questions about the framework or anything else you guys may want to ask me. Leaders who lead like a brand these are some of the women that I have photographed, and all of these women are so strong, and they display leadership qualities like it's no one's business. This lady here is she creates luxury travel for women, and so her business is Red Dress Travels. These women are both in their 60s and 70s. This lady owns a skincare brand. This lady is a makeup artist. She actually has worked with me with several clients. This lady owns she's actually a model. She's worked with Adidas and some of the biggest brands you've ever seen. She also has a seasoning line. And this beauty here is a real estate agent. So all of these women display what it means and the qualities of leading like a brand, because it's more than what meets the eye with them. And it should be with you too. So this is one of the images that I took and was awarded back in 2022. And believe it or not, we were not at the beach. We weren't in California. I actually took this image in my backyard. And no, this is not my backyard, but this was before AI really took off the way it is now. So this is the real estate agent I was just saying. So Angelia helped me to stop hiding behind my role and start leading with my full story. Her and I actually have a interview on YouTube where we talked about when I was doing the 50 Shades of Beautiful campaign. And so that was a campaign that I was doing for women over the age of 50. And so I photographed 50 women. And one of the things that stood out with that campaign was some of the women felt that once they got to a certain age, because they had wrinkles or, because they had felt like, you know what, maybe I'm not as pretty as I was 20 years ago, that they were still beautiful, that they still mattered. And one of the things I used to ask these women when they were deciding, how they were going to proceed with the photography package was this. One day, and I'm not trying to be morbid, but one day, your daughters, your son, they're going to look for images of you. What will they find? And so this is something that moved the needle with them because they realized that I not only want to take beautiful images right now, I want to leave a legacy because I started digging and doing some research and I was able to find an image of my great great grandmother. So imagine what your legacy will leave behind if you provide, quality images and leaving some type of legacy, whether it's through your works. Are you going to write a book? Are you going to do a movie? What does that look like for you? How are you going to leave a legacy for people to remember you? And again, this is another one of my beautiful clients. I went from invisible to influencer in my story, and this lady actually sings now. So she's had the baby, and she is a singer, and she does a lot of singing here in Arizona. And I want to say she did a recent song at the Chase Field, and I thought that was huge, and I'm proud of everybody. But yeah. And so here is the image of me this year. Let me just tell you this. Had I known I was going to be awarded that day, I would not have been dressed down. Okay. If you know me, you know I'm going to always come with the fashions, but they totally surprised me. I was not expecting that. You see, I got my fan on my neck, my phone's in my hand because I was not missing a call, even though I was at this conference. But they awarded me with this platinum award for speaking. So your calling is bigger than your comfort zone. And when you leave the room, what remains? That's the biggest question that I want you guys to think about as you leave this presentation today. And I want to know if you're ready to lead like a brand. I also created this amazing playbook for you. So if you are interested, you can totally download this complimentary. It's a 7-day guide to building authority, presence, and influence that lasts. And you can go ahead and scan that QR code. And I'll give you guys a few minutes. And I only have one more slide left. And I think I ended early enough so we could do Q&A just in case. Alrighty. Thank you so much. It has been my absolute pleasure speaking with you today. Thank you for lending me your ear and your heart today. And I hope everybody has an amazing day and a wonderful weekend ahead.
Hi. Oh my gosh. So much of what you said I can relate to only because I was in corporate for 40 years. Yeah. And oh my gosh.
It's not easy.
Girl, I hear you. It's not easy. It's not easy. It's not easy being a woman in corporate. It's not easy being a woman in tech. It's not easy at all. You can do it. You can do it. You can do anything you put your mind to. You can do it. It's not easy, but and there are those days that are so fulfilling and so like you're just so in the zone and you're like, I'm so glad I'm here. And then there are those days where you're like, why am I even doing this?
Why am I doing this? Why am I here? I had to ask myself that a lot of days working in corporate. And like you said, it's not easy to work in corporate, and it's definitely not easy to be a woman in tech in corporate, because many of the rooms, I was the only woman in there. And so, yeah, you have the guys that are like trying to put you in the friend zone and be like, oh my gosh, Angelia is my homie. But there are also guys that felt like, oh my gosh, like she's a threat to me. I have to outdo her. And you are on a project with these people because you don't have a chance to choose. And you are seeing them take credit for what you've done.
Okay, I just remembered this one meeting that I had. I was working for a company because I was a consultant for the last 20 years, where I would go in and work on specific projects or acquisitions or product launches or something like that. And I was brought into a company, and they wanted to create a new division, and they wanted to launch this new division. So I was in charge of building the team, training everybody, launching the product, getting all this out. And for some reason, I was told that I had to report to this person after a few months. And I was like, okay, I don't know why. This guy has nothing to do with anything that I'm working on, but fine. I'm a consultant. I'm like, okay, whatever you need. And I would go in and meet with him, because we would have these, check-ins, right? And go in and meet with him, and he would tell me my ideas were bad, or I was going in the wrong direction or something. And then the next thing you know, we would be having a staff meeting, and the CEO would be saying, Tom just came up with this great idea. And
Yes.
It was exactly what he told me was not a good idea. It was not the thing. Yeah. So it happens a lot. And one of the things that we are doing at She Is Me is helping women transition out of corporate and become their own boss, own their own business, do things that are fun and great, that they think about every day, that they want to do, where they want to be, where they're making the same amount of money.
Yes.
And all of these created because I knew that I didn't have those things. I didn't have those options. So how could I create them for other women, right? How could I create that opportunity for women? And I'm telling you, I live, breathe, sleep this project. Like this is, this movement. Like that's
it's a movement. It's not a project. Like, you have gone far beyond just a project, because if you think about when people are bringing people together to speak, like you have, and I just want to give you kudos. I'm glad you even brought that up. I was going to send you a big email, but I really want to give you kudos where kudos is due, because a lot of people try to do what you're doing and they're not able to succeed. Like, you have been so thorough, you have given grace, and I just want to say you have put together an amazing panel of women. Amazing. And I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for even considering me, because I know you had a lot of people to apply. And I know that it's not an easy job to choose who you're going to bring on stage. But I just hope that my time here today was extremely impactful. And I also hope that I was able to give more than, I put in to even do this pitch. But I'm just so grateful for people and women like you that are living and creating movements. That's exactly what I was saying in the presentation.
I know, I heard that, and I was like,
movement. Absolutely. Create a movement. And I'm so proud of everything you're doing.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. I needed to hear that. Thank you. Stay with me, because I want to talk to you about something when we go off air. But thank you. Thank you for your energy that you brought today, and for your inspiration, and for your presentation. It was just amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure.
Okay, we'll be right back. We're going to be back at the top of the hour with Lori Smith. So stay tuned.